Total Pro Sports presents 10 sports stories that should become movies. We've seen some of the most iconic plays in professional sports hit the big screen. Miracle starring Kurt Russell retells the story of the 1980 U.S. Olympic ice hockey team, upsetting the heavily favored Soviets. But there are so many other real-life sports stories that are more insane than most things Hollywood writers could come up with. Here are 10 sports stories that deserve their own big-screen adaptation, and what a suitable title would be. Number 10, Lance Armstrong, Crashing Down. There was perhaps no more heroic athlete than Lance Armstrong. The Tour de France champion created the Livestrong Foundation after surviving testicular cancer. An inspiration to all, Armstrong's heroism came crashing down when the devastating truth came out. He was doping and therefore cheating to become an all-time great cyclist. As a result, he's become a disgraced athlete to the public. A story about the early success, with a sad ending would have all the elements needed to become a film. Number 9, New York Giants 2007 run, Road Warriors. The 2007 New York Giants were not picked to win Super Bowl 42, let alone have a deep run in the playoffs. After an 0-2 start to the season, the G-men went 10-6 to make the playoffs, including 7 straight road wins in the regular season. Then they defeated Tampa Bay, Dallas, and Green Bay to reach Super Bowl 42, all road games. You know the rest. They take on the 18-0 New England Patriots. David Tyree's helmet catch sets up a 17-14 win, and the biggest upset in NFL history. Something tells us a typical yet epic sports film detailing the underdog would be nice. Number 8, 1951 Toronto Maple Leafs, BASHIN Bill, the Bill Barilko story. The Toronto Maple Leafs cemented their dynasty by winning the 1951 Stanley Cup over the Montreal Canadiens, their 4th in 5 years. Defenseman Bill Barilko scored the overtime winner in Game 5 to clinch the cup. That summer, he and his friend went missing on a plane trip. The bodies weren't found until 1962. Before the bodies were found, the Leafs were a mess and failed to win another cup. The year they found the bodies and the plane crash site, the Leafs won the Stanley Cup again. The Tragically Hip wrote a song detailing the events. Barilko has become a huge part of Leafs lore, and this deserves to be a told story to those who don't know about it by putting it on screen. Number 7, Steve Bartman, Stay Foul. Heading into the 2003 NLCS, the Chicago Cubs hadn't won a World Series since 1908 and hadn't even reached the big dance since 1945. With a chance to wrap up the series in Game 6 against the Marlins, Moises Alou tried catching the ball for the second out, but infamous fan Steve Bartman interfered by trying to catch it. The Marlins rallied for a big inning taking Game 6 before winning Game 7 and eventually the World Series. Bartman was blamed by millions for the loss and required police protection and has stayed out of the public eye since. This tragedy would be an epic story to tell, especially if the Cubs win a World Series and find a way to honor him. Number 6, Peyton Manning, Last Rodeo. After a devastating playoff loss to wrap up the 2014 NFL season, the media had written off Denver Broncos quarterback Peyton Manning, saying he was finished and had nothing left. Manning was pulled mid-season after the worst game of his career. He'd missed 6 games with a severe foot injury. After backup Brock Osweiler struggled, Manning took over the duties in Week 17, and the Broncos rode his momentum to a Super Bowl 50 championship. With everyone knowing it was his last ride, and Manning mustering just enough to capture his second ring, why wouldn't you want to see something like this? Number 5, Michael Jordan, I'm Back, the Michael Jordan story. The NBA's greatest player of all time, Michael Jordan, retired after leading the Chicago Bulls to a repeat. He was grieving the loss of his father, James, who had been murdered, while also saying he had lost the desire to play. In 1995, he announced he was coming back, and the Bulls would win 3 in a row once again, from 1996 to 1998. Considering the icon he is to basketball and how epic this comeback story is, everyone would want to see it. Plus, we bet MJ could star as himself, given how great he was in Space Jam. Number 4, 2004 Boston Red Sox, 86 years. For the good folks of Boston, they had the misfortunes of going 86 years without a World Series. That was thanks in large part to the infamous Babe Ruth trade in 1919. The 2004 World Series winning Red Sox are infamous for 2 things. Number 1, breaking the 86-year championship drought, and number 2, being the first MLB team to come back from a 3-0 deficit as they overcame their arch rivals, the New York Yankees. Though the film fever pitch that stars Jimmy Fallon and Drew Barrymore details this story, it doesn't revolve entirely around the Red Sox. The entire journey itself actually deserves a full Hollywood tale. Number 3. Japan 2011 Women's World Cup Team, Determination. Few stories would give us the chills that the 2011 Japan Women's World Cup team did. After a devastating earthquake and tsunami killed over 15,000 people, the whole country looked upon their female soccer stars to bring glory home. Despite being rather underwhelming underdogs to both Germany and USA, Japan got to the finals and defeated the powerhouse Americans in a shootout. They played with heavy hearts throughout and won over millions of fans for their determination and victory. Number 2. 2009 New Orleans Saints, Fighting for Victory. The 2006 New Orleans Saints played with heavy hearts, returning to the Superdome after the Hurricane Katrina tragedy. That team went all the way to the 2006 NFC Championship before losing it to the Chicago Bears. However, in 2009, the team got to the Super Bowl, and thanks to Tracy Porter's pick six, won the team's first ever championship. Porter's interception, Drew Brees' strong play, and the story behind the story make this a potentially epic Hollywood film. And number 1, Roberto Clemente, Grand Slam, the Roberto Clemente story. Clemente changed the landscape of Major League Baseball forever. He was the first Latin American to make the Baseball Hall of Fame, win a World Series, win the Fall Classics MVP, and the first to win NL MVP. Clemente did everything right for fans and the industry, making it to 15 All-Star games and winning 2 World Series rings. He planned to fly over to Nicaragua after its capital city, Managua, was hit with a devastating earthquake. Clemente was planning to do plenty of charity work there, but the plane he boarded crashed and the baseball icon passed away. Given all he did on and off the field, how historic he was and how legendary he was, Clemente deserves a Hollywood epic film in his memory. What sports story would you like to become a film that we didn't mention? Tell us in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please click like. If you didn't subscribe, now's a good time to do so. We upload 7 videos a week. As always, we thank you so much for watching.